why is it the 60 plus have to be over cautious about COVID-19?
When you're old, your defense mechanism is also old. The granary of ammunition in an old man in his bone marrow is lesser. At 60, he's probably picked up a couple of other lifestyle diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, kidney problems. There could be an old history of cancer. There could be asthma. So he has to stoke the fire amongst all these things. So it's like going to a hill station where you want to go to the top of the mountain and they say the elderly people should not because the oxygen carrying ability in those lungs is lesser. So people have to be sheltered. They have to be pampered. They have to be protected. And they have to be... So the young ones amongst us have to be taught the motto that nothing will happen to you, but you will carry the disease back to your aged parents or grandparents. So this favor you are not doing yourself as you are doing it to your aged people. That is where the community comes in. That is where the joint family... You want the money from the aged people when they pass away gracefully, but let them live happily. Don't bring the coronavirus home because you went for a party with 5 people. That's important to remember.
Yeah, that is so right. In India, we are still very lucky because we do live with our parents and we look after our old. You know that in the West, everybody stays on their own and kids just leave house, you know, once they're 18 or 16. It must be so much more difficult for them. And you know that Corona is there internationally. I mean, every country, every city, every state has been affected by it. And those people must be finding it so much more difficult to fend for.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely.
While in India, I think we are still blessed. I think we will look after our elders, our seniors. We have so many organizations right now who are looking after them also, helping the ones who are living alone, living single, whose children are ultimately not living with them or in another state, another country. I think we are quite blessed that way. So let's go to the questions section now. Somebody has asked, his friend has returned after getting cured. So he's asking, when can he visit his friend?
So if he has returned from the hospital, he's symptomatic, and from the date of getting the disease, more than 15 days have gone by, then he can go out for whatever he wants to do mandatorily. But if he wants to visit his friend, I would wait for another 1 week. Why should he put his friend at jeopardy? We know there is no further transmission or lesser transmission after 14, 15 days. But we don't know. This is a new virus. In case it happens after 21 days, if you love your friend, wait for another 6 days. Itni jaldi bhi kya hai?
Yeah, so true. So there is Viraj who's asking, when will we get back to normal?
If I could answer that question, I would be bigger than the Chinese gods who made Wuhan. So I can say we can only, you know, there is a theory that if all of us stood in one position without moving for 6 minutes all over the world, then the virus would die because we would not be transmitting it. So the answer to your question is, when will we be back to normal? This is a difficult proposition. I wish there was a gili gili foo abracadabra formula where the virus would go away. Neither has the summer heat helped, nor has the monsoon shower helped. Nowhere in the world have they been able to find the correct drug. The vaccine is still a long way away. I think every 100 years, 1820, 1920, 2020, Spanish flu, Great London fever, the plague, every century years later, nature punctuates our lives and tells us that a tiny little virus can attack, kill, maim, and cripple all of us. So getting back to normal would be discipline, and nobody can answer that question. No science, no temple, no nothing is bigger than the strength of that invisible virus. We have to change. We have to adopt habits and certain other norms to help ourselves.
So you think, Doc, this is going to be like HIV, like all so many other diseases that have come, and we have learned to live with them. You think and chicken pox. So you think this is also going to be probably one of those diseases
Yes,
that we will
yes.
learn to live with, and we will build some amount of immunity. So we will cure ourselves. Many will be able to cure ourselves, but we will probably it's probably here to stay.
I like your request for some immunity. The humble request, yes, we most of us will pick up some immunity, something that you cannot cure, you have to endure, you have to learn to live with it, you have to learn the new norms where while you're living with it, you have to be careful. HIV you're living with, but you don't get HIV because you follow the do's and don'ts of HIV, whether it's in a hospital or whether it's anywhere else. You follow the norms. So if you follow the norms in due time, H1N1 ka kya hua? 2 years ago, we were all worried that H1N1 has come, but today H1N1 has occupied a back seat.
Absolutely.
We are waiting that but this is a pandemic. It's not going to go on through the back seat so soon. It's going to make every part of society rich, whether he is a sipai or a seth. He's have to learn. Today, spitting is a fine.
Yeah.
Coughing out is a fine. All these things we were doing with gay abandon. So unless we don't tame our habits are going to create such problems and are going to consume us. So we have to wait it out.
Sudha has a question. She's saying, what about the droplets on the containers and on the boxes?
That's a very good question. The droplets on the containers, there are different theories about how long they live on plastic surfaces, metal surfaces, glass surfaces, etc. One doesn't know, but one knows that if they are exposed to the sun for more than 2 hours, you kill the virus. I would say the same kind of precaution. Try and not touch door handles. Try and not touch common telephones. If you have to touch, see that you have gloves. When you have the gloves, after using it, sanitize yourself. You don't know, there is no norm written. We believe that they can live from 4 hours to 24 hours. But really, nobody knows anything much about it. So you have to be careful. That is why spitting, coughing, sneezing, droplets, one has to be careful about.
What about the food that we order online? Now we've started ordering food that comes home. What do we do with that? And especially ice creams is what I wonder about. Them is a challenge.
If you're reasonably very sure about the source from where you're getting it, you could start it. Most of the food is heated and is cooked and things like that. But
that's why I said ice cream, because ice cream is something which you have to put into the freezer right away, which you cannot really wash because it will melt and you do not heat it.
So you know the story or the fact of the pizza delivery boy in Delhi who came and infected 180 people. There was a pizza boy in Delhi who infected all the people. So it's a chance that you are taking. If you can sanitize the box, if you can see that whoever has touched it, everything else is cleared from it, then it's fine.
Would you suggest we avoid things like ice creams and salads and things which are raw and which do not get heated, and stick to ordering food? It's fine to order food as long as you order food which you reheat. You can reheat. So even if you get a pizza, it would be a good idea to then put it in an oven and reheat it rather than eating it directly. The way it comes.
I agree.
All food that comes should not be consumed the way it comes. It should be reheated and it should be washed. And I think a good idea would be, we've always said no plastic and all, but those plastic containers is something that you can rub and scrub and wash, and you can use sanitizers on a lot of them, and so at least you have saved yourself from this problem, and then open them and heat the food and then eat it. So if you're cautious and precautious about this, maybe we will be able to enjoy some of the fancy dishes that we have missed out on for the last 2.5, 3 months because nobody's going to restaurants, and I don't think we are going for a while now. So even though in Delhi we just saw on television, as you saw also, I'm sure you must have seen that some of the malls have opened, and they opened a few restaurants with seating, just two people on one table and far away from each other. So the capacity was reduced to, I think, 1/3 of the number that they would have accommodated on a normal day when life was normal. But would you still risk going to a restaurant and sitting there and eating? I mean, of course, we all dying to do that, but
Like see the results of somebody else's zeal. I would say let the zeal of the early starters be translated into results before rushing into something which you have curbed for so many weeks. How deep is the sea is what the frontline swimmers go and check. You never know when you wade into the water how deep the water is. So I would be scared, I would be wary, I would be apprehensive. Let the beginnings happen, see how it works out. If it works out well, there are no rules written. The rules of this game are completely new. It's a new virus. If for some reason it works, then you could follow the others. But don't be the first to rush in, nor be the last to be left behind. Be somewhere in the middle.
so true. So we have a Dr. Firoza who wants to ask you something, and she's saying, Firoza, who's saying that what are the precautions you can take, and how do you look after a patient at home? I know we discussed this briefly, but she's asked the question again, so if you could address it.
So if you have a large
Quarantine,
house,
basically.
if you have a house where the affected patient can be in his own room with his separate bathroom, then he gets his food in and out in the same containers. He has a separate napkin, a separate towel. He washes his own clothes. And the person who serves him will wear gloves, will sanitize it, and he will be contained in that room. While he is in that room, the others in the house will take a prophylactic dose of hydroxychloroquine. All of them will be monitored for their temperatures. Their pulse oximeters would be seen for their saturations. And before you'll know it, it will be 14 days and the wedding bells will ring, the doors will be opened. But it'll only be open if you are careful, if you are sure, and if you see to it that you follow the do's and don'ts.
So there is a question which is very interesting. This is from Jessica, and she says that coronavirus is made of RNA and is unstable. I am working on spike protein production for COVID. Why is it always difficult for us to make vaccines for viruses made from RNA, single-stranded?
So RNA viruses are difficult to fragment or to attenuate, and therefore you can't make an attenuated vaccine or you can't make a dead vaccine so easily. RNA vaccines are little difficult to process in the laboratory in the form of a vaccine formulation. So she is working in the laboratory. She probably has more information under the microscope, like I have more under my stethoscope. So she probably can answer her question, but RNA viruses are difficult to formulate in the form of a vaccine.
Okay, somebody's asked a very question saying that is there a particular time when the virus is active?
Yeah, not like a human being, because in Bombay, human beings are active from 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. and the virus is active all the time.
So the virus never sleeps, basically. I mean, beware, it never sleeps. So, it's there.
Don't drop your guard. Don't think you can fool the virus like you fool your parents when you creep out at night, because the virus is always there, it's invisible.
So we are doing asking you the last question. I'm asking you before we close the session today. So there is one Facebook friend of mine who's asking, I am having Kara, Ayurvedic, yoga, so doing all the alternate therapies basically. So is it going to be helpful?
Of course, Keep having the kada, keep doing the yoga. I'm sure she looks fantastic. She's kept her body in shape. She's kept her immunity in shape. She must continue doing it. But that doesn't mean she can go out without the burqa that everybody wears. I don't want to see the color of her lipstick for the next 3 months. She will have to wear a mask. She can wear a Louis Vuitton mask. I have no problem.
I'm going to disappoint you because it's not a she.
Oh, it's a he. Okay.
So it's a Ravindra Kumar. So it's a male, but it's fantastic for a man. Today, men are no less. They are all doing exercise and yoga and building bodies, etc. So it's great.
Good.
But may it be a man or a woman, I think it's great to look after yourself, be safe and healthy and COVID free. Is what I would say.
Thank you for this.
Not a problem. You cannot leave without giving all my friends here on Facebook last advice, one advice to you before you leave.
The advice that I would want to give is that do not be afraid of the virus. You're going to tame the virus. You may not kill it, but you'll tame it. And the best way to tame the virus is to follow the do's and don'ts. If you do that, the virus which is in front of you will move beside you and soon will move behind you. And that's the aim of the game. Do not be afraid. Do not take your eyes off the goal. You will succeed. Use social media judiciously, wisely, and not to propagate things which you are not sure about, because it is a double-edged sword and can work.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much.
If you have liked our video, kindly subscribe. Press the bell icon so that you can get notifications about our latest videos. Like and share our video.